All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. Merely Bo, the great Z. With opportunity comes responsibility.
That's right.
And we had talked about, it's interesting, we did defensive tackles yesterday. On the show.
Yeah.
And we said in various different ways, the ice couldn't be more thin for Perrion Winfrey. And then,
well, I said,
give me the exact quote. I know you have.
Pretty sure I said he's a 99% roster lock, with the 1% being he can't get out of his own way, and something big happens. And within 24 hours of that statement being made, the 1% happened. And maybe I was being silly or naive in my 1% stance on that. But he's done it, and he has been released. And look, when you're the Senior Bowl MVP, as he was, and you go in the fourth round, when you have the tape that he does and the athleticism and the skills that he does, it's because there were concerns about your ability to capitalize on your talent. And now I hope for Perrion, because I actually very much liked him when I got a chance to talk to him, that these mistakes and whatever appeared to have happened there seems bad, and I'm happy that the Browns acted quickly. This is a season about results. This is a season about business. You cannot have distractions. And in the NFL, the one way that it is very much a meritocracy is that when you are not worth the hassle, you will be gone. People who are worth the hassle, you can stay around. But if you're not, you will be gone. And I think for the Browns, that was a room where we said there was one proven commodity. Perrion Winfrey wasn't that proven commodity, so that doesn't change. There remains one proven commodity in that room in Dalvin Tomlinson, and I do think it becomes more aggressive and imperative now that you do look at, one of those veteran defensive tackles out there, and there's some very, very good ones.
There's a ton of talent.
Suh, Matt Ioannidis. I think Ioannidis would be a great fit here. Akeem Hicks, Michael Brockers, Shelby Harris, Linval Joseph, Chris Wormley. So there are lots of options for the Browns at that defensive tackle position. It would not surprise me at all if they do make a move at this point to bring one in for training camp and to get ready. I think my sense of Ndamukong Suh is that Ndamukong Suh is going to be an in-season ad for somebody.
Yeah,
unless
he's not going
gets
to camp.
Offered something outrageous,
which he won't, and so he's not going to camp.
That's
He'll show up like if it was here or somewhere else. My hunch would be end of August, right before, even
I even think
September,
he shows
October.
up in like November to play the final 10 games or
that's true. November, you still have more than half.
And he
the
has
season.
an idea of
who's got a shot. Yeah,
who's real.
He's got those type of opportunities.
Yeah. Ioannidis, I think, would be a great fit. He can rush the passer, and I think that's really what we're looking for out of that sub. Now, you've got big Dalvin, you got Jordan Elliott, you got big Siaki Ika. I think you want that fourth guy. And I think, you talked about Maurice Hurst. I think this is a huge opportunity for Maurice
Big time.
Hurst. Tristan Hill as well. But I think that Ioannidis would fit kind of, when you're talking about putting a five-man front out there to rush the quarterback, I think he would be a tremendous sub-package pass rusher in the interior.
Yeah, used to do a show with James Laurinaitis, and we would talk about this all the time in context from an NFL perspective and even from a college perspective. I'm sure he's dealing with it now as a linebacker coach at Ohio State. Some guys are can't get rights.
Yep.
That's what you used to call them, can't get right.
Yep.
And you can give opportunity and you can say last chance and then it just, you cannot get right. And right now, that's what Perrion Winfrey is. He's a can't get right guy. He was. It's so amazing that you cannot understand. To your point, you make such a great point about his tape, his play at Oklahoma, juxtaposed to where he was drafted. Like that should have been the first lesson that, hey, bud, this is the reality of it. We dealt with this a year ago with the behavior when Coach Stefanski suspended him here. Not this specifically, but he was punished here. Like this has been well known and documented.
More things that weren't even documented.
Right.
Yes.
That was all there. That was like, it's enough, man. Like the talent is such. But you always talk about this, and this goes for. Did I just lose? Am I good?
I think I hear you.
No, I lost it in mine. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I'll keep talking. I'm
hearing you.
All right. We talk about this all. This is in sports. This is in business, life, anything. There's a parallel line that's running out. One is your value. The other way is your pain in the neck.
Yep.
And pain in the neck can be defined in any number of ways, but one of them is certainly behaviorally. When the pain in the neck jumps past the talent, that's it. There's a video of a documentary coming out Netflix about John football, and one of the things that's talked about there is exactly that. They got to a point where you could only put up with so much.
Yeah.
And it did, and then that was it. And that's where Perrion Winfrey is now. And then you're going to have more guys in that room. They'll have to get another guy in that room for camp. So I think you need more bodies.
I think, like I said, now we're back to you have 3 automatics on the team. You've got Dalvin Tomlinson, Jordan Elliott, Siaki Ika. And then now everybody else is a competition. I think what you'd like to do is add one more veteran, especially who has a pass rushing tinge to him. So an Ndamukong Suh, an Ioannidis, maybe an Akeem Hicks, because that's what I think you're looking for on the interior. Shelby Harris is another name. Brockers, although Brockers, he's a little bit long in the tooth, as it were, being a first-round pick back in 2012. Akeem Hicks from the 2012 draft as well. So the guys that are out there have been around for a while. Shelby Harris was the 2014 draft, but he still produced 2 sacks last year, 6 sacks in Denver the year before. He's had the last 4 seasons, 16 and a half sacks. So maybe he's somebody that the Browns look at, because I do think you need somebody else in there that has played a lot of meaningful football, and then somebody else that has an opportunity to get to the quarterback. It just feels like that's what you need in there. Maurice Hurst, you just can't count on him at this point because he's not been able to stay healthy. I think very talented guy, but I really think that right now you need to go ahead and add somebody into that room. And I'd like to do it going into camp so they can be there and get the full experience, because we need to hit the ground running. This is not a team where, we can work out, the growing pains. You're Bengals at home week 1, Monday Night Football, and these beautiful babies week 2 at the Steelers. There's no, oh man, we can figure this out, by week, 3 or 4 or 5. Our schedule is really hard if you think about it. Bengals at home, Steelers Monday Night Football, Titans at home, which you can't take them lightly. We made the mistake of doing that week 1 2019, I think. Then you got the Ravens at home. Then you have a bye. Then you get the 49ers here.
Yeah.
I mean, 49ers are one of the 2 best teams in the NFC.
Yeah, when we did, we were taking a look at, when it was like, okay, it's camp week and you're thinking about all of that. It so reminded me, obviously a very different tone, but so reminded me of last year through where we looked at first 4, the record through the first 4 has got to be what it's got to be. I think the same thing is you have more ability to fight back if you dig a hole.
Yes.
But it's really critical that you're above the right side of 500 going into 49ers week. Those first 4 games, that's a 3-1 situation, a 2-2 at worst situation.
You want to be 3-2, I think, after that.
After Niners.
Game.
That's fine. 3-2 after
there.
Niners, whatever that is. We can't do the 4-game tranches anymore.
No, it's no fun.
Sucks.
Yeah, there
really
used
sucks.
to be 4 perfect 4-game tranches.
Sad. Hate it. And then the schedule evens out in a big way because you're at Colts, you're at Seahawks. By the way, they're going to be wearing their throwbacks for those. More on those in a second. Cards at home, and I think Cards are tanking, so that's all in. And then you're at Ravens. So that 3 games after San Francisco is very manageable, but it's tough. It's not going to be any tougher than the way you're opening. So yeah, it is. It's critical. And we've said what needed to be said on that. I think that the thing that you can tell very clearly, and this has nothing to do with what happened to Perrion or the timing of it or anything, but that it is go time. It is time for this roster to go. Yeah. That's abundantly clear. And everything that's being done, regardless of the Perrion news today, everybody understands that. It's all there. Everybody gets it.
Everybody gets it. I had a chance to see a bunch of the coaches who were back in the building and talk to them. And yeah, it's kind of, let's go. We know we've got the roster. We know we've got the talent. We need to refine everything so that we're ready to roll, because this team isn't going to be judged by, we look pretty good in training camp. I do think those joint practices in Philly will be the one point of judgment that you have between now and the Bengals game. I think that will be the one where you're like, okay, what did we see here? How does that make us feel about our abilities? How do we match up with an elite organization, elite roster? But other than that, you're not going to know anything really. You have those joint practices, then you're not going to know anything until you get to week 1 against the Bengals. And I think everybody knows that, and it's kind of a weird vibe. And it's a good place to be. That means you've got a team that can contend, and now we've got to just go out there and do it. And I like that they're not going to tolerate any garb, no nonsense, not having it. I'm sorry. I like Perrion a lot, but obviously ran afoul too many times, and there's no room for that. There are no room for distractions. There are no room for people dragging this thing down. We have to be all systems go. We've got to be professional. We've got to be brought in. We've got to be rolling in the same direction. And anybody who isn't is going to be out. That's just the way that it is.
Yeah, margin. There's no margin. It's go time. We have the white helmet here on the here on the desk today. It's great. I love it.
It's a beaut.
It's an absolute beaut. Yeah, looks good. You knew it would. Now, can you wear that? That's the Chiefs helmet. Can you wear that?
That's the Oakley visor. So,
so you can wear that one, that pink shaded visor?
Pink shaded. Yeah.
Okay, that's a cool one. All the kids want to know that. Yeah.
Like, I feel it's a nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful lid. Yeah. No, you're ready for it. It's probably more bars than a quarterback would want.
Yeah, I feel like that.
But
I wouldn't want these.
You wouldn't want those guys. No.
They're my peripherals.
Yep, you wouldn't want those guys there.
No.
But everything else, I think, looks pretty dang good. I think it's amazing. I said yesterday on the show, like it is something I've always wanted. I always thought would be a great look for this organization is the white, and the fact that it exists in the history was cool. I loved the interplay between us and the Bengals yesterday. I thought that was great. Like the Bengals talking about Mike Brown. That wasn't, by the way, in response to the white. That was something in their archives. Yes. And Mike's right. Like, we're named after his dad. Yeah. And there's another bite they put up of Mike where he says, he says, we're invested in the Bengals, but I am a Cleveland Browns fan. This organization is a branch off of that tree. And it puts you in the weird position of like arguing against Mike Brown on the side because of the clip is about actually Modell specifically, who's public enemy number one, like Paul Brown's Walks on Water, right? So it's just such a strange thing. But I do love all of it. It was interesting to me how many people were unaware that we wore a white helmet, which was stunning.
I came in and the security guys saying we're fielding calls about people complaining that we're wearing white helmets. We never wore white helmets. They're like, yes, we did.
I don't understand that. I mean, has no one looked up a picture of Otto Graham?
That's what
or Marion Motley? Yeah. Like you've never... I just was floored that people were unaware that the Browns originally were in white helmets.
For the first 6 years.
Yeah,
And then in 1952, they switched to the orange.
It was crazy that people were unaware.
Yeah.
Corey Gillisee, shout out to him.
Okay.
Assistant equipment manager to the equipment manager of the year. He brought us that helmet today.
Yeah.
No, very good.
You, Corey.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
well done.
It's very, very good. I think they landed a lot of it. I'd love to see it in a gray mask for the true throwback, but I think a modern version of it is a home run.
I like the brown on it much more now that I see it in person with the stripe and on the uniforms when you see it. I like it much more than I thought I would. Initially, I was not pro-brown face mask.
Yeah, but I think it does work.
Yes.
I think it works very well. It ties in. It marries the brown in and all that. Because the original Browns helmet did not have a stripe either. It was just all white, and that was it. White. It is obviously uniform reveal week in the NFL. 8 uniform reveals will be done by the time the next 10 days or so are done. We had ours early in the week. We had the Bucks early in the week. We had the Vikings yesterday. Most teams are going with some sort of a modern throwback or a straight throwback look. We talked a little bit about the Vikings. The Seahawks dropped theirs today. So these are the Largent, Bosworth, Kurt Warner, the original unis.
They're gorgeous.
They're gorgeous.
And they got the helmet right. The Vikings effed up the helmet.
They did. Yeah, they went with a – now my guess is that the Vikings probably always wanted the helmet to match the jersey, but it never did, and that to me was part of the allure of it is that the helmet was darker than the jersey.
That dark purple is beautiful.
It is. Yeah, almost dark as possible.
You can't wear a throwback with a matte helmet.
No, it has to be gloss. So I think that was the only thing that they – botched a little bit there was that part of it. The rest of the look, it's not that much different than what they wear now. They basically wear a modern version of that uniform with just a helmet that matches the jersey. That's right. And I know, speaking to people in that organization from years ago when Rick Spielman was a GM, they were up until the newest incarnation of the Viking jersey, they had the damnedest time getting the orange on the hat to match the jersey. It was something that apparently they had wanted forever, is that the purple would be the same color as the helmet. But typically what had happened is the purple jersey would fade throughout the season, or the purple jersey wasn't quite the same color as the helmet. So now they actually have it matching, and it's something that has rarely happened for them.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't blame you.
And by the way, their whiteout should be a white helmet.
Oh, remember they teased that one. That thing was Gorgeous. Didn't they tease
Well,
that?
no,
But they
somebody
didn't wear
made
it.
They never wore it. They teased the white out, and we all assumed it meant with the white helmet.
That's what
and then
it was.
somebody made a mock-up of the white helmet.
Yeah.
And it looked awesome.
Can I give you a hot take and let me know where you stand on it?
Yeah, please. I want you to.
You and I are men. We're 40.
So far, that's not a hot take. It's accurate.
We lived through those Largent uniforms.
Yep.
We lived through those Bucks uniforms. We lived through Pat the Patriot, and we lived through the Broncos. Pat the Patriot and the Broncos. So Pat's coming back, but the Broncos are not doing theirs yet. I have no idea why, unless they announce it in the next couple of weeks. I don't think there's plans for them to wear those uniforms, from the Elway era uniforms with the light blue hat. In regard to this Seahawks uniform and the Bucks uniform, and Montana was a bandwagon state because there wasn't anybody near us. People say, I've said this before, why don't you like Seattle? It was 9 hours. Why don't you like Denver? It was 14. I wasn't driving to a game. So you just like the teams that were good. I didn't know a single person with a Seahawks jersey. I didn't know a single person with a Bucks jersey. I don't remember anybody ever thinking those uniforms were cool. The uniforms, so hold on.
Okay.
The uniforms that were viewed as cool were typically Raiders, Steelers, Cowboys, 49ers. Some of those were teams that won, right? So that was part of it, is those teams all won at that time. Steelers weren't very good at that point, but there were a lot of kids of 70s parents who were bandwagon Steelers fans from the 70s.
Okay.
So those were considered like the cool uniforms. I don't remember anybody going to the wall saying Seattle's got the coolest uniforms. There was none of that. When you see them now, they look spectacular. And, in fact, I remember when the Seahawks went from these to their currents going, oh, they got that right. That's probably a fit for Seattle.
Well, their currents were so cutting edge at the time, and they ushered in kind of that new modern era of uniform.
Yeah.
And when you had the lime green, and they were great.
Yeah.
But those classics, so in
They're
the
beautiful.
Bay Area, even though it's obviously 49ers country, 49ers-Seahawks was a big rivalry.
Sure.
And they had, like, the Largent jersey would be around. You would see, I would see Largent jerseys, like, as a kid.
I believe,
remember that.
He was one that was sold a lot. There was,
Yeah.
you could buy, like, in the Sears magazine, you could buy, like, the whole uniform.
Yeah.
And his was one
Yeah,
that
with
was
those,
the
what were
Seahawks.
those called?
Hutch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those uniforms were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Largent. You would see some Largents. But I do think that, yes, there is a nostalgia factor to it. I also think that in some cases, and not in the Seahawks case, although I think that their uniforms are now tired. Like, you could still play in those for a while, but they're not what they were 10 years ago when they were kind of revolutionary and maybe the coolest.
I don't have a
uniform
problem with
closet
that.
in the
It's
NFL.
kind of like what you see sometimes in building of homes. Like, you see something that was so trendy, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that very much feels like 2008.
Yes.
Then there is that feeling to
Because
that.
it's all the extra little pipings
Yeah.
and colors and
Yeah.
all of that extra stuff they have on them. So I think these are beautiful.
They are beautiful.
I think part of it, too, with the Bucks case is I just don't think they ever got it right since. I don't think there's been a great Buccaneers uniform
I don't have a problem
since
with
the
that either.
creamsicle. So going back to it makes all the sense in the world because their other stuff's not that great.
That's true.
I mean, they
I
had
don't have
a
a problem with that.
awful botch when they went with, like, alarm clock numbers.
Yeah. That's
Like
right. When
cheap
Jameis,
digital alarm clock
Yeah.
numbers.
Nike ran amok with those.
Yeah, there was a stretch of not great uniforms.
There was, and it was, look at this guy.
Yes, Tars.
Back.
Welcome back,
Gorgeous.
baby. Look at this, huh? Yeah, look at
Look
this.
at that. It's
love
there.
it. Yes, look at him. He's ready to go.
He's ready.
Let's
Yep,
go.
that's right.
The great Tarvs.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. You know that what the other thing that strikes me is in this, I think this is the other thing that makes people love these uniforms, or like when the Patriot ones, eventually the Broncos will do
Those
them,
are
but people will love them.
spectacular too, though.
They are.
Those are
But
great.
I didn't think they were as a kid. Like when they played
Part
the
of it-
Bears in '85, I wasn't like, wow, they look great.
Part of it
Do you know
was,
what you see what I mean?
Yes. Part of it was I think that those Patriots teams weren't good.
That's another part of it. Of course
Steve
it is.
Rogan and
No, of course it is.
Andre Tippett was there, but Hannah,
The Buccaneers
offensive
were the
lineman.
worst team of the '80s.
Yes.
So like these teams sucked. So it's not like anyone was buying them anyway.
Yeah.
But it's not like the uniform superseded. I do think there's one other thing that is specific about that era that all changed in the late '90s into the early 2000s, and that is the uniformity that came in uniforms. What I mean by that is you could be 100 different shades of blue in the '80s.
Yeah.
Then the uniform manufacturers were like, actually, you can pick one navy, it's this one. You can pick one blue, it's this one.
Yeah.
You can pick one royal blue, one light blue. Like, we're not making 65 different shades of light blue.
Yep.
Like, for example, the best example I can think of this, and this is, I'll get to this in a second with the Oilers throwbacks, that light blue is a different shade of blue than Carolina blue, which is a different shade of blue than UCLA blue, which is a different shade of blue than Columbia blue, which is a different shade of blue than all the other light blues that are in that world.
Yep.
It was a specific. Now they don't do that. Now if you want to wear light blue, it's the same color. Tennessee has that light blue they wear. Everyone wears that light blue.
Yep.
There's not 60 varieties of it because the manufacturer's like, this is insanity. We can't have 1,000 different reds, 1,000 different blues. You get to pick from these reds and these blues. And the best example of this is Michigan. When Michigan went from Nike to Adidas, and all of a sudden Michigan's pants were like neon yellow.
Yeah.
Because Nike owned that color of yellow, that specific yellow color. So until they went back to Nike,
that maze,
yeah. They were stuck in the wrong damn color. Like the Lions blue is a different shade.
Yeah.
Now there's so much uniformity that you don't have it.
And that's why I think sometimes when you have somebody who steps out into a creamsicle, or you get that
Yes.
blue of the Seahawks with the gray, it looks so good. I'm trying to look when the Seahawks changed, and I had it
They
wrong
did it
when
twice.
When I was a kid. Yeah, the Hasselback ones were terrible.
They had the Hasselback ones, which are
So
terrible.
they left the great ones for the Hasselbacks, which were awful,
Right,
and then they got this right.
And the first team that did like the brand new uniform was actually Denver. Denver was the first team that did like the Nike-fied uniform, and they got rid of the light blue hats for the dark blue hats and the piping, and they've been with them ever since. That was like 98.
So Seattle, 2002, they switched to the Hasselbacks.
Okay.
2001 was the last year they wore these Buttes, and I remembered. I obviously think of them as Niners rivalries because that's a Richard
NFC,
Sherman,
yeah.
but they were AFC West back then, so that's when they were with the the Raiders.
They were with This was the only division I saw on the NBC provider.
So it was Raiders.
It was Raiders, Seahawks, Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers. Yeah, that was that division. So that's all I saw in the early window on a Sunday as a kid. Were those? I have one more thing I want to run by you. Oh gosh,
for the kids.
Yeah.
Fumbled a lot, Dave Craig.
Did small hands.
Small hands.
The
smelled like cabbage.
Those are so great. That might be the next thing I go with NBC. Maybe go a little.
They will love it. There is a lot of
innuendo. It's overwhelming innuendo.
98% of everything is innuendo.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll have to see. One last thing on the uniforms. So we're going to get a Colts black uniform. It looks like tomorrow. Like they're going to do a black, which they don't even have black in their color scheme. I think that's lame. So they're going to do that.
I want them to do the one that they wore sometimes where they wear that blue helmet that's
with
beautiful blue with the two horseshoes on the back.
That's very cool.
That should be
in the mix.
Yes.
Sounds like it's not. Sounds like all the teasing.
So there you go, a black helmet too?
That's what it looks like to me. Like they're teasing
black
like
and
black.
Blue would look good together.
It will, but it's not one of their colors. It's cheating. Black is cheating to me.
I'm fine with that.
Because everything looks good with black. If you put almost any NFL team in black, they're going to look great. Because black looks great in a uniform. It does. That's why the Raiders are the best uniforms in the NFL. Can you explain to me, taking spite out of it, why the Tennessee Titans, they're going to do the Oilers uniforms. They teased it with oil dripping on the Titan uniform.
I know, it's gross.
Nobody, do people in Nashville want that other than that they're cool uniforms?
I mean, didn't Eddie George wear them a few times?
They
Chris
did.
Johnson
One
wore
or two
them.
years when they played in Memphis, but never in Nashville did they wear the Oilers.
No, so
when they went to Nashville, they were the Titans.
So it would mean a heck of a lot to the people in Houston.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Other than spite, I don't get it because it's not like anyone in Nashville is like, man, I died with Warren Moon and Drew Hill.
They probably don't even know.
No point of view. No point of reference. Yeah. How would they?
Earl Campbell.
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. To me, it makes no sense.
Latte Larry.
I think it's a spite store too.
But
I don't know that their fans even like if I was a Titans fan, that'd be like if the Ravens wore Browns uniforms.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Can you imagine like a kid in Baltimore going like, "Oh, I got to get me one of those."
Right. No way. No way. You wouldn't want a Lamar Jackson.
Why would I want it?
Right.
Like if I'm a kid going to a Ravens game, why would I be like, man, I got to get me a Jim Brown jersey?
Right.
It makes no sense.
But they're going to be trying to sell their current players in those jerseys.
They are.
Yeah.
Get
your
in
Derrick
Oilers
Henry
jerseys.
By the way, if they would just give it back to the Texans, it would erase one of the, I think, worst branded teams in the history of professional sports. It would erase what I think are awful uniforms.
They are the Houston uniform. The Houston Texans uniform is the create a team on Madden template.
Like that's bad.
Yeah.
Like
It's
you
the
failed.
template. Like basically, you just hit the A all the way through to just get it, so you can start the team.
Yeah.
And then that's what you ended up with. Was that? I don't get
The
I do
notion
not
that
get
there
it.
could have been there could be the like St. Paul Minnesotans, or there could be the Los Angeles Californians,
Cleveland, Ohioans.
the Cleveland, Ohio. Like it's the worst name ever. It's
And then
so
they kind of
bad.
Then they kind of cheated on the helmet because they obviously wanted to use a steer, but that's Texas, so they couldn't put like the longhorn on there.
so
So
it's
they
like
kind of
this-
went like this hybrid animal. Well, the state is absolutely identified as a longhorn. That's the image of the state is the longhorn, and instead they have kind of, I don't know, it kind of looks like in a way, kind of like a European mount for a bison head is kind of the way that the
Like-
horns go, and then it's like the state flag is
Yes.
in it. It's
It's awful.
awful.
What do you think if it's a Spite store and you're dealing with multiple billionaires? Like, why wouldn't they just sell the likenesses? Like, why couldn't the Texans say, we're going to give you $10 million
Yeah.
for the rights for those uniforms back, and to become the Houston Oilers, because that's what we'd like to be. We would like to be the Houston Oilers.
I think it would take ownership change in Tennessee from Bud Adams' family because his bitterness is the stuff of legend. I think we've talked to the general about that, about Bud Adams' vitriol towards the city of Houston.
It's wild.
And his daughter, Amy Shrunk Adams, owns him,
Yes.
or Adam Shrunk owns him now. And so until there's an ownership change in Tennessee, there's probably no path for it.
It's just sometimes I think that's where like Goodell just has to intervene and say,
I
look,
couldn't agree with you more.
for the betterment of the league, the Houston Texans is a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be the Houston Oilers again and bring back those sweet uniforms.
And wear them all the time.
All the time.
Put the derricks on the side of the helmet and go.
Go.
Problem solved. Sell some C.J. Stroud number 7s in light blue. The end.
Yeah.
Probably the only good thing that came out of this franchise being ripped out of this city was that precedent.
That they kept.
That they kept the brand, the history,
yeah.
all of it. The fact that imagine if you're us right now, if we couldn't honor Jim Brown or Otto Graham. Imagine if we were the Cleveland Browns, but you did not have the history. Well, I guess you couldn't even be the Cleveland Browns. You'd have to be something else.
Right.
You have to figure something else out. But if you went down to the lake and there wasn't a statue of Jim Brown, imagine us not being able to like do anything with Bernie Kosar.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened. Like
Yeah.
they don't own their own damn history.
Yeah, there's
And that
nothing
changed here. The Sonics did the same thing. Oklahoma City was an expansion franchise. When Seattle gets an NBA team, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, all of that, it's all still in Seattle.
Yeah, it's all back. Right.
all of it. They will be the Seattle Supersonics.
But that's what's crazy when you go to Houston is there's no Warren Moon.
Nothing.
There's none of it.
Well, then Tennessee's in this awkward thing of like trying to honor Oilers. Like they'll have Earl Campbell to Nashville. He's the biggest Texas legend ever.
He
He's
never
on a short
played
list.
in front of
Never.
fans in Nashville.
No, he's a Texas kid who played at
Yes.
Texas and then played for the Oilers. Like,
Yep.
and they'll bring Warren Moon to Nashville. It's just ridiculous.
Yep.
And so I agree with you. I think it's something that the commissioner could just say, no,
This is what we're doing.
that's what we're doing. Like they're staying. This stuff stays there.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's right.
Anyway, all right, lots of it, lots of stuff there for the kids. We'll do our positional rankings. We'll see if Zeke can get 10 out of 10 on the running backs. That is coming up.
I've got 16 names written down.
Go around the league as well as everyone is getting set to report. A couple of things I want to run past you on the quarterback show. Let me just write this down. I got a pen. And then also I wanted to discuss Hard Knocks.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get to that as well.
I like it.
We'll do some positional previews as this thing goes along. Take a look at the linebacker situation, a little thing or not a thing. We're off and running on a First Friday edition. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Before we get into this running back
I really want to go 10 for 10, but it's going to be hard.
I think if you have 16, then I'm afraid you're not.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like that's
well,
that's
I bracketed
Public
off,
school math.
I bracketed off the other 6.
Do you ever have that thing? This frustrates me to no end. Like, my computer I updated it yesterday, and it forgot the passwords.
Yep. Oh.
Like, that's ridiculous. Apple's almost never do that. I don't know why this is doing this. I'm having a lot of trouble with Safari. Like, so I'm trying to get I have an ESPN Plus thing.
I've got it up.
But it's like, I should be able to look at that without having to remember the password from 4 years ago.
I have one question before we get into this
Go ahead,
that I think is a fair question to ask.
Yep.
Are rookies eligible to be in this list?
In other words, is Bijan Robinson on the list?
Yes.
Are rookies eligible to be on the list, Gibby?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I think I'm going to come out hot.
Coop, give us a little traveling music
I'm going
underneath.
to come out hot here, but then when you get down to 8, 9, 10, I think there's going to be a lot of rider preference. Okay, here we go. You ready?
I'm ready, buddy.
Right.
The pressure's on you.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just
I'm ready.
sitting here.
Nick Chubb.
Number 1.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's on here. Down to number 5.
Christian McCaffrey.
Number 2.
Saquon Barkley.
Number 4.
Austin Eckler.
He's on it.
Number 10.
Okay.
That's too low for him.
That's way too low for him. Josh Jacobs.
Yes, I saw Josh Jacobs, and I believe he was number 4.
Okay.
No,
right, so-
number 3.
So
number
we're
3.
And so now we're at 6. 6 for 6. Jonathan Taylor.
Number 6.
Okay, 7 for 7. Tony Pollard.
Number 9.
Okay, so that's big. Dalvin Cook.
Number 8.
Okay, so here it is. All right, I'm just going to talk through my thought process here.
All right, go ahead.
9 for 9. So I'm missing what number?
Number 7.
Number 7. So here are I'm going to just talk out loud.
I like it.
Alvin Kamara, I think, is probably the answer, but he's been banged up and it's been down. So I don't know if he would still stay there, but that's
Okay.
my initial lean is Alvin Kamara. That's not a final answer. Other people who I think are in the mix, Najee Harris, I don't think it's him. Joe Mixon, I don't think it's him. Ramondre Stevenson, I think is possible. Travis Etienne is possible, but I don't think it's him. Aaron Jones, I think, is very possible. And then Miles Sanders, I think, is possible. But I'm going to stick with Kamara. That was my original 10.
Can I tell you where I would go here?
Yeah.
Based on your extrapolating,
Yeah.
I think it's Travis Etienne.
Then I'm going to go with Travis Etienne.
No, I don't have insight.
Oh.
No. This is
That
not.
wasn't the answer?
That's not the
okay.
answer. No,
All right.
I can't get it to pull up. I can't.
Final answer, I'm sticking
I
with
can't
Kamara.
log in. I'm gonna go. I think Etienne, based off of your reasoning, and I just thinking through it all, I think it's going to be Travis Etienne. You think it's Kamara. There's one spot left. What is it?
It would have been so great had he just followed your lead and gone to Etienne, because Etienne would have been wrong.
Oh,
Alvin Kamara,
oh,
number
job
7
out of you.
and
10.
10 for 10
man
for
of
the first
conviction.
time.
Good
10 for
job.
10.
Good job.
All right, well, in honorable mention, so my other 6. So I had
All right.
Ramondre Stevenson,
Yes.
Etienne,
Yes.
Aaron Jones,
Yes.
Miles Sanders.
Boy, I don't think so.
He got nothing? I was third in the league in rushing.
He was also receiving votes.
Okay. Najee.
Receiving votes.
Yeah, that's where he should be. I said Aaron Jones already.
Yep.
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon's not on this
Not
list
on it all.
anywhere.
Okay. All right. 10 for 10. There we go.
Good job out of you.
In the honorable mentions, Aaron Jones, Damian Pierce,
Ooh. Houston.
Breece Hall,
So Breece Hall was somebody that, and Kenneth Walker, they both probably could be
Kenneth
on
Walker was in there.
there. Yeah.
Receiving votes, Javonte Williams from Denver.
Sad.
Yes.
He was our guy. Remember
God,
that?
he was our
Such
guy.
a big
He's on
bet on
every
him in
team.
fantasy,
I
and he
know.
just
And
nothing.
AJ
Broke his
Well, they
broke
wouldn't
his
play
leg.
him.
Well,
They
he
wouldn't
broke
play
his
him.
leg, or shredded his leg.
Yeah. And who else?
A.J. Dillon from Green
Oh,
Bay.
wow. That's interesting.
Let me run this by you. We were talking about the running back thing the other day, and we were talking about, these are the stars of the game. Nick Chubb's the most popular player on our team. How do you compensate them? Well, there's also doesn't make sense to compensate them. I was thinking about this morning. I wonder if the way to do it, if you're the PA, and they've done this a little bit on defense, is instead of qualifying or classifying someone as a receiver, a tight end, or a running back, you classify them as a weapon.
Well, that's what's happened with Bijan.
Right. So you classify a player as a weapon. It's basically the NBA-ification, where the NBA is basically positionless.
Yeah.
When we were kids, it was point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. Now it's basically 4 out, 1 in.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it is. Everybody's a wing.
Sometimes it's 5 out.
Sometimes 5 out. And I do wonder if you're the NFLPA, is that a better hill to die on, is weapon. And that way, if you franchise take somebody like Christian McCaffrey or somebody like Saquon Barkley, for that moment at least, they are given the true value of what they are as a weapon, as opposed to a positional value, which is what they're at now.
Yeah.
Kelsey would have argued this too. I'm sure he probably has.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
They do it
also
already on
goes to
defensive
show,
edge,
It
though.
already goes to show, though, right, because that there are a lot of very good running backs in the league, and there constantly are new ones every single year.
It's similar to receiver. There's an overwhelming depth of receiver in the league. I don't know. Have we done the top 10 receiver thing yet?
No,
or is that
that's
still
coming
to
up.
come?
Still to come, that
Yeah.
and QBs.
So when we do that, though, you'll go, good Lord, there's like 30 great receivers in the league.
Right, but
right
that
now.
would be one a team, and they usually
Yeah.
are playing 2 or 3 at a time.
Right, true, versus 1 at a time.
Yeah.
At the running back spot. That's why I think, like, if you can just qualify it as a weapon, that would allow for a little bit more of a honest approach to the value of a player.
It's
At least on the tag.
yeah.
Like, you're never going to get a situation where a running back gets the contract DeAndre Hopkins got. That'll never happen. That Zeke contract is never going to be handed out again. But at least on the tag, in a 1 year, they could get real value for what they're worth. The
Baco Nation.
The Nation. How's he doing? He looks great.
He looks great.
Just finished grad school.
Not a
Online.
baby.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Good job out of him.
Yeah. Legend.
All right, good job. You got 10 out of 10.
10 out
You
of
did
10.
it. You've done
That's
it.
it.
You've done it.
That was a tough one because there were, like
Those
I said,
at the end were dicey, a little tough.
Yeah. Kamara's, I knew he was, I had a feeling he was the answer, but it's more based on reputation than maybe most recent performance.
Do you think that we will see any disciplinary with him?
It feels
likely, right?
Yeah.
That we'll see something.
I just think in cases like that, if they are going to just do it.
Yeah, get it. Look what we did. Like what we went through last year. Which is insanity.
Garbage. Yeah.
Like just do it. Like
Just do it.
all the data was there. You didn't need to do. It didn't need to play out the way that it played out. We'll go around the league coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Cleveland Browns 2023 schedule is here. Get your single game tickets now for all the great matchups at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/tickets to purchase today. As we go around the league, the Steelers have extended pass rusher Alex Highsmith 4 years, 68. He had 14.5 sacks last season. I'm going to, they draft rush people better than anybody in the history of the league.
Yeah, they just reload. That's what they do.
This goes back, all the way back, like Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green era. Like, they have these guys, Woodley and those guys,
Joey
when they were there, Porter,
They got James Harrison, who was undrafted, I think.
Yeah.
They even got James.
Yeah. They can do it. When it comes to finding them, they do. They get them, they lock them in, they teach them how to play, and they go. It's a remarkable thing.
Highsmith was not as effective when T.J. Watt was not there, but when T.J. Watt was there, he was incredibly effective.
The T.J. Watt stat we did last year might be the single most impressive individual human stat in the NFL I've ever heard.
Agreed. Yeah, when it was the difference in their points per game allowed was over a touchdown, yards per game was insane, and then the sacks went from 4 a game to 1, and the turnovers went from none to 3 a game or 2 a game.
I've never seen a non-quarterback or I've never seen a non-quarterback position player of that type of point impact where he's worth a touchdown. He's an edge. The Jets are the first team to have everyone report, so they did that as well. We talked about the Seahawks uniforms. All right, back to the Jets.
Yeah, let's go. You wrote down
two things I wanted to discuss with you. Number one, so the reason that there was such a delay on Hard Knocks is the Jets fought it tooth and nail.
Yep.
They wanted no part of it.
Yep.
One of the things that has been reported that they are not going to be a part of, and they're saying because it's the humanity of it all, is they are not going to be part of the cut down, is not going to be part of Hard Knocks. So you won't see the cut at the end, which has been the end of Hard Knocks, is you follow these guys. Sometimes it's guys who are legitimately on the nose, and other times it's guys who, like Devin Kajus, who never had a chance. Nice kid, but had no chance to make this roster.
Or everybody they followed that year.
But is that did we mislead?
No, we told them.
We told them who to follow, and they chose people who weren't.
Or not those people.
Those people. So that's a failure on their part.
I don't know if the Browns did. I know that when I talked to the guys, I was like, yeah, follow these guys. Maybe not these guys.
Yeah, because it didn't add up. Who they followed, that was my first year here, and I was like, what are they? I didn't even know the roster the way I do now, and not even in the vicinity the way you do it. But it was like, they're not making that roster.
No.
Devin Kajus was never making that roster. How much of a loss is that to not have the cut down on Hard Knocks? I think it's a big part of it.
This is the way they're going to do it. They're going to do it like the end of, many great reality shows on Bravo or some documentaries. Well, they'll show a still picture or a video and then put the text over it. So-and-so was cut. But he's cut. They hopes to sign on the practice squad. Blah, 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 made the roster. That's all. I mean, the emotion of it is not what it used to be because as a viewer, you're almost desensitized because you've seen it so many times. So, I don't think that's a huge loss from
I also think we know more
program.
likely who's going to make cuts or not compared to back in those days when there were
5-10 years ago.
Yeah. I think it's a loss. It's not a game record to me. I'll still be into it, obviously. I think it's going to be – the real interesting thing will be who do the Jets give them to follow? Who do they allow for them to follow and be like their focal people?
It's got to be Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I would think so, but the year we did it, you would have said it's got to be Baker, and Baker wasn't featured. He was on it, but he wasn't – he's the number one pick in the draft. He's a celebrity quarterback. It was Brogan Roback for crying out loud. What a bunch of nonsense. You have –
and David Blau. Yeah.
So, but I don't know how that – is that a decision that is made – is that organizationally saying leave him alone?
Well, I guess the difference there is that we were members of an organization. Terod was the starter.
Yeah.
So we're not going to focus on the non-starter, my guess.
He's the number one pick in the draft.
Starter. I got it.
So I want Zach Wilson more than anybody.
I'd like to see that whole quarterback room.
I'd like to see that operation, how Zach Wilson.
I want to see Nathaniel Hackett as well.
Yeah, that whole thing I think would be very, very good.
How did it go so wrong in Denver?
Here's one other thing that I think that I don't know if anyone's thought about yet. I assume this is the case. Liev Schreiber has voiced this for 20 years.
Yeah.
There is currently actor and writer strike in Hollywood. SAG-AFTRA. I would assume that would apply to voice work. Are they going without a narrator? Or will they have...
They'll have a narrator.
They'll have a Jets guy do it? I don't think he'll do it.
I wonder what it'll be. That's a
I
good
don't know,
question.
but I don't know that he would be on it. I bet he's
We'll
not,
find out. Yeah.
because he's definitely in SAG-AFTRA.
Maybe they're going to find somebody who's not, that has got a good, reasonable impersonation of his voice.
Or they could go in a different direction, and they could have like the voice. Isn't that our guy Wischusen? Isn't he the voice of the Jets?
Yeah. They could do
They could
that,
have Bob
which I
do
think
it,
would be
and then
cool,
each
but I don't
team-
think they'll do that.
Yeah, but you can't get an actor to do it.
No.
All right, next thing I want to run by you.
Quarterback.
Have you seen the quarterback show?
I've
Or are you
watched
saving
episode
it?
1. And maybe
The-
part of 2.
So obviously the whole operation is Mahomes.
Yep.
Like that's as it would be.
Yep.
He comes across even cooler. Like he's universally beloved.
Yep.
Everybody loves him. There's like a Steph Curry thing. Like I think there's just kind of like, wow, he's different than anything we've seen. He's so likable. You don't like his brother, but other than that, the rest of it's a win. I didn't think it was possible for him to be more cool, but
Yeah.
then he is. So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah, he's great.
he will not go off the field
No.
for the
Injury.
X-ray.
Yeah, no way.
He's yelling at everybody, I'm not coming off the field. Then he's like, I'm coming back in, hobbling out. And then you get this clip of him with Jalen Hurts where they're sitting at the Super Bowl and Mahomes tells him, yeah, I bought an Airbnb 5 minutes from the headquarters for the Super Bowl 3 months ago. He asked Jalen Hurts, any of your family coming out? No, man, I couldn't, lodging, whatever. He's like, oh, man, I got an Airbnb 3 months ago, 5 minutes from the facility. He bet on himself.
Of course.
What a legend.
Well, he's only got all he knows is going to the AFC Championship
great,
game,
though?
and then he's won 3 of them and gone
What
to
a
3
flex,
Super
though,
Bowls.
to
One, two,
Hurts. Like, oh, yeah, I bought this 3 months ago. I figured we'd be here.
Yeah.
Nuts. Who would you like to see on it next year? Because it's coming back. Manning announced it's coming back. I don't think they need to do 3. That's what I would say out of the gates. I don't think they need to do 3 players.
Don't you think
I
they're
think you
going to
just do
do?
2.
Don't you think they're going to do the same formula star?
Manning said it'll be a little different.
A little different. Okay.
He had an availability, or I think he was on McAfee or something. He said it'll be a little different than what it was. So
here's
it'll
what
be
I would-
tweaked. So I don't know if they'll follow like the guy hanging on. Which of the superstars going to be very, very interesting if the player's interesting, and I know where they're going to go there. But
Who do you think they're going to take?
it'll be Burrow.
You think it'll be Burrow?
I'm pretty sure.
Why you say that?
Yeah.
Scores.
Limited scores.
Limited
but
scores.
I think there's a very good chance it's Joe
I was going
Burrow.
to say it's got to be Burrow, Allen, I think,
Burrow and Allen are the two that make the most sense.
or Hurts.
Or yeah. But I think
Burrow.
it'll be Burrow.
Okay, Burrow. Good. Hopefully it's a distraction. Then I would like to see. I'd love to see one of these rookies. I think that would be very interesting, like C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be, or Richardson in Indy. I'd love to see one of the rookies. I'd like to see like what a rookie really goes through, like see them learn their playbook and their head
Yeah.
spin and all of that. So I would want to go with one of the top picks from this year's draft class, Burrow, and then I don't know that I need like necessarily, like the scrap around guy.
He's not really a scrap around guy, but you could sign me up for Stafford because I think that team dynamic is fascinating.
Stafford would be interesting. I think Russ would be very interesting.
Russ
this year.
is another one that would
With
be
Sean
very
Payton.
interesting if you could get like a real unvarnished whatever that looks like, if he knows how to be that.
Yeah.
I think Garoppolo with the Raiders would be fascinating. If it was completely unvarnished, it might have to be on HBO Max as opposed to Netflix. I guess Netflix can do that too. Yeah, I think Baker would be a hanger-on guy. Like he's fighting for his career this season in Tampa.
Yeah.
But he's never going to be what he was drafted to be. But like, this is probably the last camp that he's going to go into as a starter, and it feels like he's going in as a starter in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
If this flops, then he's not going to
That's
get
it.
another at bat.
Yeah. Jordan Love would be an interesting one too.
Jordan
Taking
Love would be
over
fascinating.
for a legend.
Yeah.
It would actually be interesting if they did. Let's say they did Burrow, Rodgers, and Jordan Love for the 3.
I don't think they need that type of star power at the top, though. Burrow and Rodgers.
Well, but you're not going to get another shot. Rodgers is probably
Then
this year. one
punt
more
on
year.
Burrow and do Rodgers now.
Okay.
You could do Rodgers, Love, and whoever else. That might be good.
Rodgers, Love.
Their model's definitely going to be, we get asked this guy one favor one time for this.
Yep.
Peyton, you need to do the ask. So
Yep.
that's the Mahomes ask.
Yep.
So that'd be the Rodgers,
I don't want Derek
Burrow.
I think one of the rookies would be interesting. I think Bryce Young would be very interesting.
Levis.
Because Tannehill's going to start.
Yeah. For a little
We
while.
don't
Yeah,
need Goff. He was just on Hard Knocks. Justin Fields would be an interesting one.
Fields would be a good one. Kind of it's a monster year for him.
Yeah.
One of those young cats
Yeah.
where it's time to go. Yeah. That will be. You have to have the headliner. I think that rookie thing you're saying would be very interesting if the kid's interesting. And I do like the idea of like a guy. That's why I think Bake could be a good one. He's got a ton of personality. I mean, he's not. You want to talk about life comes at you fast? It's not long ago. He's the face of Progressive.
Yeah, now he's on his 4th team in a year.
Right.
Yeah, comes at you very
and
fast.
he's never going to get another opportunity to start if this goes bad.
No, but he's
It's
got
done.
Mike Evans. He's got Godwin.
He had guys here. Like he's got opportunity to be successful. It's just, can he do it? I mean, I think you know where you're leaning on that, but there's also like a football mortality thing.
He
at
would be
play
an
for those type of
interesting one.
guys. Yeah,
I hope
if
he
you
does.
got him
I
in-
do hope he does well.
Sure. It's that type of the guys fighting their football mortality. I think are interesting.
I also
cats.
think it would be kind of fascinating, and I don't know if people would think it was, and it could end up being something cool, but to follow, like, I don't even know if he's an interesting guy, but it seemed like they really liked Heineke in Washington. So now he's in Atlanta. He's the backup, but he's
Yeah.
been a starter. I do think it would be interesting for people to get a real life look at what a backup quarterback's life is like, what they do during the week in the meetings, how they're prepping the starter, all of that. I think that would be an interesting thing. And it's a guy that might start some games, you know?
Is there a guy who was a backup here that you think would fit, that would be both entertaining?
Like Case Keenum would have been great.
Case would have been great.
Great on this show.
Yeah.
Jacoby'd be great.
Yeah. You need somebody, though, that's got a little.
Gardner
they have to
Minshew would be
He would be great.
a fun one.
Yeah. There's another one that would be very, very good. All right. Those are the things I wanted to address with you.
Yeah. I think so. If it's Burrow, I definitely think it's got to be a rookie. You need to have with that a rookie or a younger guy. So I think it'd be awesome to have Bryce Young because he is so different. He's smaller than anybody
Yeah.
we've seen drafted at that spot. He looked like a little kid
Yeah.
at their mini camp. And I think it would just be fascinating to see how he does it. And then I think, or Justin Fields would be a great one. And then I think Jordan Love would be a very interesting one, trying to follow in the footsteps of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
The tough part with like a guy like Bake or with Mariota, as you saw last year, like at some point, if things aren't going great in Tampa, which it's hard to imagine that that's a team that's going to, be a playoff team again. Maybe the NFC's wide open, so I guess maybe. But there's a good chance that Kyle Trask is going to play some games this year. Just like there's a good chance that Mariota's going to get benched for Ritter,
For
and
sure.
then he's peace. I'm out.
Yeah.
Which I heard that. Have you gotten that far?
No.
I heard that's pretty like real.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet it is. We'll do the positional breakdown on the linebacker side of things coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And renew your home for the last time with Renew Home Exteriors. Now we're introducing new composite-clad siding. Beautiful, deep-grained look of real wood in 20 available colors. Keep that just-installed look for a lifetime with this low-maintenance siding option. Right now, take advantage of no interest or payments for 24 months. Renew Home Exteriors, superior products and superior service. You can check them out at renewestimate.com. They will take care of you, I assure you of that. Training camp, our guys are here. I mean, we have quarterbacks and rookies are here. The rest of them will be here on Friday.
Yep.
Teams reporting around the league. Linebacker is the positional preview of the day, my friend, and for that, we go to Dr. Z.
All right, linebacker room, a lot of familiar faces. It's really your top 5 linebackers, or really you even could say top 6, are all guys that were on the roster last year. Now, the Browns had a lot of injuries last year. You look at it and you say to yourself, Anthony Walker Jr., he only played, 3 games. He got hurt in that third week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got 3 games out of Anthony Walker Jr. Jacob Phillips only played in 7 games for you last year. Sione Takitaki in 12 games when he tore his ACL down there in Houston. And then Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah only played in 11 games. So 3, 7, 11, and 12. So 23, 30, 33 games out of a possible, if I do my math really quickly, 68 for your linebacking core last year. Jordan Kunaszyk played 15. That led that room. Your top 5, they're all back. Now, the question is, will Sione Takitaki be ready for week 1? Tony Fields gave you 17 games as well and actually played really well down the stretch once he became a starter with all the injuries. So you feel really good about, AWOC's back on the 1-year deal. JOK, you hope that with Dalvin Tomlinson and Ika in front of him, this is the year he really goes. Jacob Phillips, tantalizing, but can he stay healthy? This is probably his last chance. You got Tony Fields back, and you've got Jordan Kunaszyk. That's 6. Matthew Adams, I believe, is going to make this football team.
Okay.
And right now they love what Jordan Kunaszyk's giving them, and he is Jim Schwartz wore his jersey.
Pretty good chance.
Bubba Ventrone absolutely loves what he's seen from him. So, and he's a special teams ace. The question then is, how does this linebacking room shake out? Let's just say that Sione Takitaki is ready to go for the season. In addition to the names that I mentioned, you got Mohamed Diabate and Charlie Thomas III, undrafted free agents, both of whom have shown flashes to our good man Tarv, but likely to be practice squad guys. Matthew Adams is considered to be one of the best special teams linebackers in the NFL. So he's on your team for special teams. Can play some linebacker, but that really is that's his bread and butter. He is a core special teams ace. He's been there in Indy with Bubba Ventrone. Ventrone brought him here.
He was
with Chicago last year. It feels like he will be on the roster. That was one of the guys they wanted. So I think you got 6 spots here. There could be if there was a surprise cut, I guess it could in theory come from this room. But you got JOK is a lock. We'll say that. He might be the only true lock. Is Taki ready? That's the question. So if Taki's not ready, I think it actually becomes pretty easy. You'll have JOK, you'll have Anthony Walker Jr., you'll have Jacob Phillips, you'll have Jordan Kunaszyk, Tony Fields, and Matthew Adams. If Taki is ready for week 1, then somebody from that group has got to go. And the question is, will it be a surprise? Will it be a young player who has not, fulfilled his promise like a Jacob Phillips? Would it be a Kunaszyk? Would it be Matthew Adams? Is Kunaszyk out Matthew Adams? Matthew Adams is a special teams guy who actually gives you more at the linebacker position. But I think there are probably 6 spots here. We had 5 going into week 1 last season. And I think the big question for me is, who's the odd man out? As I said, if Taki's not ready for week 1 and opens on the PUP list, so that'd be 6 weeks, that gives you that roster spot, and then I think it becomes easy. If he's ready to go, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that all goes. And I think one thing to pay attention to in training camp is where they are with the linebackers, first team, second team, third team, how that goes. But then also where they are with special teams. Who's with the first special teams unit, who's not. And that could give you a little bit of insight into who ultimately makes this team. But we're not going to play a ton of linebackers, so 6 feels almost like a big number.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you, because as we're going through these and we're predicting like how many are to make every room, it feels like we're 1 or more than we were a year ago in some of these rooms. We just did this on defensive line, like 11 or whatever the number was.
10, yeah.
10 of them. You've got to if you're going to rob from Peter, to pay Paul, Peter has to be robbed.
Well, that's why I think you end up with 24 on offense. I think you're going to be less on offense.
So is that running back? Where is that? Where
running
are you
back,
pulling from?
You'll only have 3 tight ends. We had 4 a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe you get away with not carrying quite as many offensive linemen on your active roster because you have the extra guys that can on practice squad that can come up on game day. I think you're going to have to carry 3 quarterbacks, though. Like if we did it, when we did it real quickly, I think you're 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs. I think you're 6 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. So that's 6, 12, that's 15. And then you need to go 9 on the O-line. And that gives you 24.
That'll get you there.
They'll get you there. And then you could, on the back end, go 10, 6, 10.
This is a unit that if it's just never been healthy. But if this group is healthy, JOK, Anthony Walker, Sione Takitaki, Jacob Phillips is the biggest what if, because when he's played, he's great. He just hasn't played. And we're going into year 4 with Jacob?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you think about what he was in Flash as a rookie, when he's played, what you believe that he had been, but he just cannot stay upright.
No, Jacob Phillips for his career, that's just kind of been, unfortunately for him, that's the knockout. When he plays, he is incredibly productive. He's a guy who can sack the quarterback. He's a guy who can intercept passes, get his hands on the football, force fumbles. He does it all, but unfortunately, he just has not been able to stay healthy. Jacob Phillips, in 3 years in the league, which would be 16, 16, 17 in terms of games, right? Last year was the first was 17. So that's 49 possible games. How many games do you think Jacob Phillips has played in his career?
24?
20.
Yeah.
9, 4, 7.
Yeah.
And in 20 games, with 8 career starts, he's got 88 tackles, 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hits, and 5 passes defensed. I mean, when he plays, he is very productive.
Yeah.
He looks incredible. I mean, he's an incredible specimen.
Yeah.
But there are tough decisions will have to be made in there. The guy that needs to have the big year in this room, and the question I think that I would say is out there is, can Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah become a star? I think he was drafted to be a star. He was a star at Notre Dame. And the question is now, can he become a star for the Cleveland Browns? And I think that's what we really need to see.
There were certainly times as a rookie where it felt destined to be the case.
Yeah.
He is somebody that, you and I were the first to talk about it. And the loss of Anthony Walker last year was
massive.
Massive for our defense and for JOK.
Yeah.
And so, I think for, we're at a point now, we've addressed what needed to be addressed on the defensive line.
Yep.
Through free agency draft. That's set, that's locked in. For this defense to be one that is feared, you need, we've done a lot of these positional things. You need JOK to become a borderline Pro Bowl player.
Yes.
You need Grant Delpit to be the type of player he was at the second half of last season.
Yes.
You need Newsome to not only be a great cover guy, but be a guy who gets you a couple picks.
Yep.
You need Emerson to keep – you need these young cats. Like when it's top of the show, we're talking about it's go time. For a lot of these guys who are drafted, whether they're first rounders, second rounders, it's go time defensively for a lot of these guys. They've got to take the step and reach their full potential.
Yes.
For this team to be what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's this back
and
seven.
They should be freed up at the second level to go make plays.
Yeah.
I do think we're going to see a lot of times where there's a linebacker on the field, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Because if you're bringing 5, let's say you have 5 guys on the line and you're playing nickel behind it, 5 plus 5 is 10. You're only allowed 11, so that means you're going to have 1 linebacker.
Yeah.
And I could see times where they do that, where they go no linebackers. And I think that'll be interesting to see. Do we ever see Grant come down and play linebacker in those obvious passing situations, or maybe Rodney McLeod come down and play a little linebacker, and so you've got 3 safeties, 3 corners, and 5 guys getting after the quarterback.
Right. Yeah, it's the defensive stuff is it's go. There's a lot of kids who are guys who are drafted at good spots, high spots, and
yes.
And this will be fun to watch. Though this position battle, this one has a feel of a real. We've got some tough decisions to make. There are certain times we go through this roster, and go, okay, that's all pretty easy. This one, you're gonna have to cut a good player, is the way it seems to me.
Yes.
All right, we'll do a little thing or not a thing. Up next, we'll also do the Bucky Brooks top 10 non-quarterback franchise building blocks with a little higher or lower coming up as well. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Back by popular demand from your favorite four-legged companion, Year 2 Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, the fan club for dogs. View membership options to join today at barkingbackers.com. I haven't done that for Buddy Garrity yet. What am I getting out of that? What's Buddy Garrity getting out of it? Some
Pure
snacks?
joy. Pure joy. Some
snacks?
snacks. Yeah, definitely some snacks. Maybe a little gear. Yeah, no doubt.
He's living a good life right now. Kids
Yeah.
are finally engaging. He's behaving well. Wins for everybody.
Did you get him all settled down after you're coming back from vacation?
Yeah.
Because he was a little wound up, you said.
He was all jacked up and kind of shot out of a cannon, but I think he's settled down a little bit. His Aunt Adie took him for a couple of walks, so those were very, very good. He
Long
enjoyed
walks.
those were great. She had pointed out, and I never think of this because I'm selfish. I only think of things through my prism. He's not a problem at all for me to walk because he knows I'm boss. But he is a problem sometimes for others because he wants to take off and run. And I had never trained him to walk with a choke collar thing.
Yeah.
I'd never done that
The
because
pincher.
that thing. I'd never taught him to do that. So, like with Amy or Adie or like my mother-in-law, any of them walk him, they're like, "Oh my God, he pulls." He never pulls me. Ever.
You're the alpha.
Because I'm the guy, right? So he doesn't have to worry about it. I'm out here doing foursomes with the boys and enjoying domestic beers. So I can certainly handle him. But I have
Not all domestic beers.
not all, only some. I did though, because she mentioned that. So now I'm walking him with so that he's used to that when other people do. So that was a good job at her. Very good.
Nice.
Sometime you like international beers that are actually owned by domestic companies that you don't like.
That you sometimes none of that matters, as it were.
That's right.
All right, little thing or not a thing for us
Sure,
here
why
on
not?
a what is it's a first Friday.
Act accordingly.
Act accordingly, kids. Have a cocktail. Enjoy yourselves. Beautiful, beautiful.
All right, I wrote down all my
So this is-
last placers.
This is CBSSports.com, our
Okay.
favorite content provider.
All right.
Garrett Podell. So it's like a new guy or Podell.
Podell.
a
Let's call him
Grant-
Podell.
A Grant Podell.
Okay,
Podell.
Grant.
Said
Garrett.
Garrett.
I think it's Grant.
I
Is
see
what you
Grant
have
here
here
in the rundown.
You have a Grant Podell.
It's a fine, Stevie, and a fine for me. It's a fine for both of us.
Fines all
Who
around.
made the mistake?
I'm in charge, so I have to hop on the
honcho.
grenade.
The hot.
Honcho.
Because I'm not leaving you any wiggle room to come at
Look at this guy.
to come at him.
Look at this guy.
What are you gonna do?
He's back. He's back in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Well, I still think Stevie Wonder has potential. I won't hold this against him.
I'm not. You see how quickly? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
He's in good shape.
he's
He's
in
off
shape.
to a good start.
He's off to a good start. Yeah.
Very good start. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Predicting the last place team in each NFL division for the 2023 season.
All right.
Thing or not a thing, who would you have in the bottom of the AFC East?
You want me to tell you how to do this? This is how you do it. The New England Patriots are going to finish last in the NFC East,
Yes,
and
give me
Bill
who-
Belichick will
Well,
no longer be the coach of the Cleveland Browns. Thing or not a thing?
Wait, what?
I'm sorry, the Cleveland Browns. I saw the helmet. Will no longer be the coach of the New England Patriots.
Oh, there are already people going wild on Twitter
So
today
that's
after that report. That,
So here's your thing or not a thing.
yeah.
Thing or not a thing, the New England Patriots will finish last in the AFC East, and this will be Belichick's last year
That's
in
how you
New
do it.
England.
Yeah. So tell us who he says is last, and you do it like that.
Okay, I wasn't sure because you had said I have my list.
I have my
And-
list, so I'm going to tell you if I agree that it's a thing or it's nothing.
So the
so
New
that's it.
England Patriots
We'll finish
will
last.
finish
in the AFC.
last in the AFC East.
And Bill
We'll get
Belichick
this
will
right
be
eventually.
fired.
And then add the Belichick part. This will
Add
be
it.
Belichick's last year in New England. Thing, they're finishing last.
Thing.
And it would be,
Yeah, that's
I
what
think,
have.
coach of the year stuff if they don't. Or major injury to Tua or whatever.
I
mean,
don't
this
think.
roster's no good.
I don't think. Okay, I think that it is a thing. I think they will finish last. I think this will be Belichick's last year in New England, but I do
Same.
not think it will be his last year coaching.
I agree on all fronts. I think it's done there with him. I think feels like they're wearing on each other. He cannot draft players. He doesn't know what to do in free agency. But I do think he could paratroop into a ready-made and go.
And go.
Yeah.
So the next one I don't really want to add anything to because it's the AFC North.
All right.
And thing or not a thing, according to this guy, this Jamoke from
Don't even
CBS
say it.
Sports.
The
Not a
Cleveland
thing.
Browns
Not
will
a
finish.
sit.
The Cleveland Browns will finish last
last.
in the AFC North.
Don't say it. Not a thing. Erroneous. Erroneous on both counts. The Steelers will finish last in the AFC North.
You know I'll tell you another one that I think could go a little. If they wouldn't have hired Monken, I think the Ravens could have gone really sideways because I don't love their roster. But I think Monken will do wonders for Lamar, and in that offense, I think he'll put him in a lot of positions to succeed. I agree with you on Pittsburgh. It's crazy though. Pittsburgh's never lost. Never lost under Tomlin. So it'll take can you finish last in this division at 9-8? Maybe.
Yeah, you could. You could also finish there at 8-9, and all good things must come to an end. I was there when the Undertaker was 21-0 at WrestleMania, and then Brock Lesnar walked in and he walked out 21-1. So,
So
Did they do
awful.
that
Maybe-
wrong?
It was maybe the worst
no,
pay-per-view.
they did not do that wrong. Worst, what do you mean WrestleMania 30? It was great.
So that was the appropriate guy to beat Undertaker,
yeah,
was it?
quite believable.
But they hated each other, right?
In real life?
Personally? Yeah.
No.
Oh no, didn't?
no,
Oh, I thought they did.
He would only. I think he at
Do you
that
think
point
he
only
said
would have do it
he could
for
do
Brock
it?
Lesnar.
That's
Yeah.
the guy that I'll take it for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Up next on Thing or Not a Thing, we go to the AFC South. The Houston Texans will finish last in the AFC South, and Davis Mills will start more games than C.J. Stroud.
Is that your own addition there?
I like
It
that.
is.
That's
I
it.
like that, yeah.
That's it. So
Not
you
a
have it
thing.
I'm a quick
and
learner.
then double not a thing. C.J. Stroud will start significantly more, barring injury, than Davis Mills, and the Indianapolis Colts will finish last in the AFC South.
I'm going to go thing on they finish last. Houston does finish last. Not a thing on Stroud. I don't know
Who
what's
are these
going on.
people?
I don't know who's here.
We have we have so many interns.
1,000 people.
Oh, we have two.
walking these halls. Never seen.
Never seen.
Do you think when they walk by us, they're like, what are those two guys doing in there?
No.
Who are those two guys?
Like those
Well, I
are-
know they know
those are
you.
Yeah.
UDs.
You know how I
think
know
they're
that?
like a
I got
franchise.
invited to a 2:00 meeting today. That's how I know.
After 1 o'clock yesterday.
Yep. Ring them up.
Not a thing.
Thing or not a thing, we go to the AFC West. The Las Vegas Raiders
Yep.
will finish last in the AFC West. Their head coach, Josh McDaniels, will be the head coach of the New England Patriots a year from now, and the Raiders will be the worst team in the National Football League and have the #1 pick a
Thing,
year from now. Thing
not a
or
thing, not a thing.
Yes. Thing, not a thing, not a thing. The Raiders will
They
finish
will
last
finish
in their
last.
division. Josh McDaniels will
McDaniels
not
We'll
parlay that into being the head coach of the New England Patriots.
And
And the #1 pick
pick
will
in
be
Arizona.
in Arizona. That's right.
Arizona's picking 1-2.
All right, I'll
Yes, they're
simplify.
picking Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'll simplify. Josh McDaniels will not be the head coach of the Raiders 1 year from now. Thing or not a thing.
I don't think that's a thing either because I think that how are you going to pay him not to coach too?
Yeah.
Like
I
you're
mean,
paying
their owner
you're
can't
paying Gruden,
pay
you're
his
paying
bills already.
how many people are you going to pay? So I don't sense.
I don't sense that. I don't think they're going to be incompetent. I just think that the other three teams in their division are better than they are.
Yeah, I think that I'm bullish on Denver. I think
Me
they
too.
bounce back.
Me too.
To the NFC East we go. The Washington Commies will finish last in the NFC Eastern Division.
Yes.
And
that's a
Sam
thing.
Howell will start more games than Jacoby Brissett.
Also a thing. Yep.
Thing,
You get two
thing.
Thing one, thing two.
No way.
They are
Brissett starts.
they're really close to. It's a shame they have too much talent on defense because this would be a great year for them to tank.
You got too much talent on. They got talent on offense
They
too.
got too much talent though to tank. I actually think
I'm going to tell you.
I don't
right-
want to go too far on Howell, but there was a time before he played his last year at North Carolina where people thought he was going in the top 5 in the draft. And then all of that, Javonte Williams was there on that team. They had receivers on that team that
Yep.
all went to the league. And all that skill position talent left, and he had a very rough final season at North Carolina where he dropped in the draft. People liked him a lot a couple of years ago. So I wouldn't be shocked if he was a little better than people are giving him credit for.
Maybe this is my hill to die on this year because every year I have one, a.k.a. Shanahan getting fired. Although that did get a little traction nationally.
Did it?
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mike Florio.
Oh,
Mike
did
Florio
it?
reported,
Your
hey,
boy.
why isn't he on the hot seat? You're right, Mike.
He's right.
100%
No, he wasn't.
back at the
He
top.
wasn't right because he's a genius and he just made Brock Purdy the most effective and efficient quarterback in the NFL, Mr. Irrelevant.
Prior to that,
Part of that, he
there
was
was, that seat was warm. I thought it was very warm.
okay.
There you go.
What's your hill to die on?
Yeah.
I think that the Giants are going to finish last in the East. And I think the Commies can make the playoffs.
In the NFC, that's not that crazy.
Anybody can make the playoffs.
If
in the
Howell's
NFC.
good, they could make it for sure.
Jacoby could lead them there. in
I
the
just,
AFC.
I'm not buying the Giants. I think last year was a fluke. And
They got a
come back
lot
to
of
it.
talent there. There's a lot of talent. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be the Eagles finishing last, and I don't think it's going to be the Cowboys. So it is the Giants or the Commies, but I think the Commies are it's going to be the Commies.
To the NFC North.
How did they come like
Yes.
a year later? How did they land on Commies? I mean, it's just such a fail. Red Hogs was just right there for him.
Red Hogs is there.
Like
Yeah,
I'm
Red
telling you,
Tails
that
were there.
mascot is outrageous.
Yeah, they have it. It's all there for them.
What's the guy's name? That mascot
Sergeant.
Sergeant, like
Dude, that was
Bacon?
New Year's Day.
It was against us. They unveiled him at halftime, and people were
Hungover in a
losing their
horrible
minds.
stadium.
Horrible stadium. People were out for
was
Carson
awful.
Wentz's blood.
The crazy
that
thing,
day.
it isn't even the worst thing they did in the last year, not even in the same vicinity, because this is also when they honored Sean Taylor and they put his jersey, which wasn't even his jersey, kind of, on a wire figure. Do you remember this?
Yes, I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that.
I mean,
And didn't Jackson Mahomes dance on his number? Major Tutty.
Major Tutty. Oh, my God. That jumped up a notch. I would, new ownership, Red Hogs, script R on the helmet, old uniforms they wore under Gibbs, the end. Solved. Problem solved.
Up next to the.
That is nightmares.
It is.
That
It
is
is
nightmare fuel.
yeah.
Do you remember they did it like in
don't
between
even-
the first and second
Yes,
quarter?
while we
It
were
wasn't
there.
even a halftime.
The crazy thing is they don't even have to use. They can just use something like that, like a pig mascot. But the pig doesn't even have to be on the helmet. It can be like the way we use Brownie,
Yes.
like just as a piece of it. But like just have the R that Joe Gibbs wore. Like done, problem solved.
They had all the hogs come back, and none of them were pleased to be there.
No, of course
It was
not.
uncomfortable.
No, because they're the commies. Ridiculous.
To the NFC Norris division, the Chicago Bears will finish last in the NFC North. Justin Fields will be playing his final season as a member of the Chicago Bears.
Thing, not a thing. I think very possible they finish last in the AFC North. But I don't know that. I don't think they're going to be worst team in the NFL stuff. I mean, I think that a lot that 6-11 would do it, or 7-10, and that would even be viewed as some sort of success by their margin. But Fields won't be gone this year.
I say not a thing. I like Chicago this year. I like Fields.
Who
I like
goes
DJ
to the
Moore.
bottom though? Is
The
it
Pack.
the Vikings or the Pack?
The Pack.
Maybe.
I don't think they do go to the bottom. I don't know who's going to finish last in that division. I could
they're
see
all
the
kinda like-
Vikings trading everybody in the middle of the season and just going full tank.
Well, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like if the Lions didn't lose Jameson Williams for 6 games, I'd be even more bullish on it. And they had a weird draft.
They had a weird draft.
Like if they would have had a normal draft and they didn't trade Jameson Williams wasn't out, I would feel like more strongly about them. That division's kind of like valedictorian of summer school. It's a bad division, man.
It's not
This
great.
NFC's a joke.
Well,
Can you
the
imagine
next
if we
one's
were over
not
there?
any better.
Imagine if we swapped.
Yeah.
Packers come here, we'll go there for
That'd
a
be
year.
nice.
Just trade.
yeah.
You go 14-3.
To the NFC South we go. Speaking of bad divisions in football, picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will finish last in the NFC South, and Mike Evans will end the season on a different team outside of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thing or not a thing?
It's a bad division.
Bad. I think Carolina is going to finish last. So I think
Atlanta could too, man.
they're going to be able to win some games with the way they play.
Yeah, there's too much talent here. I mean, in a way, though, it's kind of the worst thing that could happen to the Bucs. If they go
But doesn't that feel
7-11.
like doesn't that feel like a team that could trade its aging assets? Like, oh, here, sure, take Mike Evans,
Yes.
take Levante David, trade all those guys away, and
Yeah.
just
It does. Yeah. The Saints, I'm sure they got to be
they
the
have
favorite
favorites.
there. Yeah.
I don't think anybody there believes that Baker or Kyle Trask is their answer.
No, I wouldn't think so. And I would think they would know that emphatically about Trask. Otherwise, they would have brought in Baker. They brought in Baker
Well,
and
you have
gave him the
another
job,
quarterback.
but they gave him the job.
Isn't it a competition?
It
I
feels
believe it
like
is.
it feels like that's really loosely.
They posted both of them in the new unis. They
Yeah.
both got their own
But
little
when
feature.
you hear like what the players are saying, it feels like it's
It hasn't been. Neither one of them has lit it up.
no
Throwing on air.
Nor
thus
will
far.
they.
No.
To the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals will
Yes.
finish last.
Thing.
I didn't even say thing or not a thing. They'll finish last.
Thing.
Yes.
Jonathan Gannon will last one season as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Not a thing. I think the next part would be what I would say is the Arizona Cardinals will finish last. Thing. Kyler Murray will be the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins.
Does that happen in the season though? Do you trade him in the season?
I don't know, because when's he going to be ready?
I mean, he was injured into the season, but like, would you trade him?
I could see him being the starting quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. I don't need. I mean, not. He's a weapon. I wouldn't want him in the AFC. Like, I hope that we don't need any more quarterbacks in the AFC to teams that where that's the thing. I'm going to say a very possible thing for you on your first one with whoever the coach is there only lasting a year. If they play this out the way that a lot of us think that it will, and you're picking first and second, and Caleb Williams is generational at quarterback, and Marvin Harrison is the best receiver prospect since Randy Moss, which is what everybody is saying. If that is the case, that job becomes very.
You can go get who you
That's
want.
a big job now all of a sudden.
That's
Like,
why
is
I
that
put
a
it in.
job that, like, is that a job that Lincoln Riley would be like, hey, we want a lot at SC. I don't like NIL and recruiting, and I don't want to have to go play games
Bill
in
Belichick
Iowa. Sure.
goes down to Scottsdale.
Well, that'd be fine too. But I mean, I think like quarterback guru guys that have been like waiting on the right
Instead of
job.
Ryan Day,
Right. That type of thing where you're like, hey, this
more
guy's
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, like let's I don't want to deal with college football anymore. I would like an off season. Scottsdale's a great place to live. Now I'm picking my quarterback and my receiver. Yeah, I'm good. So I like that, Gibby. I go thing on that one.
I'd be surprised though.
Yeah, but
If it
they've
plays
done
out
it
the way
before.
we're
They did it
saying-
before with the Kyler Murray. They blew out
If
everybody.
it plays out the way we're saying, you can almost get anybody you want. If
Yes.
Williams is what people say he is or
Right.
believe he is, like on like that type of prospect.
By the way, a little news from Adam Schefter. Wide receiver Denzel Mims, second-round selection in 2020 with the Jets, was informed he will be waived if he is not traded.
All right.
I'd bring it if you can do something like simple. I'd certainly give him a look. Big, talented receiver.
Definitely think it's worth taking a peek. So, all right, that's thing or not a thing, gents.
All right, good job to you. All right, coming up next, we'll play a little bit of higher or lower, better or worse. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Open Championship tomorrow. We ready? We ready, gentlemen?
Oh God,
Where
can't
do I
wait.
gotta
It's my
watch
favorite.
this early? It's my favorite too.
It's my favorite.
I think it's ESPN, isn't it?
I'm sure they're apping me in the morning.
I don't think so. They usually get the Open. I don't. Here's what I already don't like about what I've seen from the setup and all that. I don't mind the rough, and I don't. That's all great. I like that. You got to hit straight. In course, out of bounds. That's like 10 yards off the 18th fairway. I don't like that. If you can find
I
the
guess
ball,
that's their
you can hit it.
that's the club rules there though. Is that the deal? I saw them talking about that yesterday on Golf
But
Channel.
it doesn't even
I
make any
didn't
sense
understand it.
why it would be there.
I don't know either. I
All
don't
right,
either.
here we go.
In course, out of bounds is my least favorite thing in golf. If you're on the
I
golf
never even
course
see that.
and
Like-
you hit the ball and can hit it again, you should be able to hit it again.
Yeah, same.
2023 Open Championship TV schedule.
Yep.
Tomorrow, coverage starts at 4 a.m. on USA.
Oh, they're okay. So that's I got to figure out where that is.
Same on Friday. USA. USA has everything on Thursday and Friday.
All of it.
All of it,
So this is an NBC production then. This is a
Yep.
Comcast production.
which is weird because it used to be ESPN.
It was, and then when they lost it, NBC was out of the mix for a minute because NBC
Fox?
it was ABC. Actually, I'm sorry, ABC was out of the mix because Fox got the U.S. Open,
And it moved everything.
and that moved everything. Then NBC panicked and got the Open, and ESPN was then they had like the day parts for Thursday, Friday, the Masters, but that's it. And then Fox was basically like, "Yeah, we're not good at golf, so if you want to
Yeah.
trade us back, we'll trade back."
Yeah, get
and
us
they're
outta
like,
here.
"Yeah, that literally is what happened."
No, they're
like, "We sucked at it. We acknowledge it.
They were
We're
horrific.
out." They were horrific, and then and so they gave it to NBC. Got back to the U.S. Open, which is they always had with Johnny Miller and all those guys, and then NBC still had the Open. Ironically, though, it was always Tirico calling it, and now he's calling it still because he's now with golf
Yeah.
and NBC. I imagine Hicks will be involved too, probably, but I'm pretty sure Faldo's calling it
okay.
because he's not at CBS anymore, and he did it for BBC last year, and I'm pretty sure he's on the call at the Open with NBC
Well, coverage starts Saturday at 5 a.m. and then it goes back to 4 a.m. on
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. It's
NBC
my favorite.
and USA will split time then.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where they do. This is the one Tiger won at in like 06 and didn't hit driver.
We just hit all
He hit
irons.
all irons off of every tee, and it was they were talking about the video of it. It was the course was so brown and hard that it rolled forever. But
Yep.
apparently they've had a bunch of rain this week, so it's going to be soft.
Yeah, they said
tomorrow.
it's gonna be soft.
Calling the championship. Mike Tirico is your host and play-by-play. Dan Hicks, play-by-play. Terry Gannon, Steve Sands, also play-by-play.
Good for Sansi.
Analysts include Paul Easinger, Brent Faxon, Paul McGinley, and Sir Nick Faldo.
So Faldo will be probably with Tirico
Yep.
on 18, would be my guess, or maybe with Hicks.
Up in the tower is Kurt Byram and Brad Faxon. On the course, John Wood, Nota Begay.
Nota Begay,
Nota Begay.
Tiger's buddy.
Tiger's right from
There you
Stanford.
go.
Yep.
He used to
Smiley
putt-
Kaufman.
He had a putter that he could putt left-handed and right-handed with, and so he would putt based on he never wanted to hit
On the slope?
slice putts. He always wanted to hit hook putts. So
That's
if it was
pretty
a
sweet.
right to
I
left
like
putt, he
that.
putted right-handed. If it
I've
was left
seen
to right, he
I've seen a
putted
wedge
left-handed.
like that. I saw a wedge like that earlier this year. I thought about buying it.
The chipper.
Yeah,
Just in case
the
you wanted to hit
chipper.
In case
left-handed.
you want to hit it left-handed.
Yeah.
This is good. Yeah, you're getting full coverage here. I like the way they
Yeah,
covered
that's
this.
good. So
Yeah,
there's
this
no
is-
app. They're not apping
You
me.
could, if you wanted to app, you could app on Peacock, but you got USA, and then
I'll be driving Friday. I'll have it on the Sirius
then-
XM app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have. I like the radio coverage when Westwood One does it. It's really good.
I used to like when Peter Alice would show up
Yes,
and do a few
that's
holes.
what you need.
That's what I
Yes,
need. I need
that's
that.
the Open.
I
Yes.
like that guy
I-
in the
how
mix.
could
I
you
like
not?
the wind and the rain, and I like all of it. Scheffler was complaining that his beef with it was that at a lot of these he said basically what you said, that look, I'm all for bunkers, I'm all for this, but it feels like here the bunkers have no slope. Like all the other places, he said that if they've played the Open, there's a slope up to the back face, and here it feels like if you hit a bunker, it rolls all the way to the face,
Yeah,
and so you have no space to hit out of
they
it.
hit out.
So they are truly punitive.
Scheffler is on one of the craziest ball striking runs I think that we've ever seen in our.
What would you
Lines.
describe this? Because he's basically number one tee to green
and he's dead last in putting, and he's
Sure.
still like, isn't he been top 12 in like 13 straight tournaments or something crazy like that?
Yeah. He's even better, and Rory's like this too. Rory's in this vicinity where he's ridiculous off the tee, and then he can't make
But
putts.
he's like last in putting.
right, Scheffler.
Yes.
Yeah. What is the football equivalent to Scheffler? Where you're the best player, is it like the best player but you can't score?
I don't think there is. I don't.
There's
know
no
that it
analogy
translates.
for
There's
it.
no analogy. It'd be a quarterback that was great and then couldn't finish drives.
Or like it couldn't complete touchdowns in the end zone, but the team still scored?
Yeah, I guess.
I guess. I mean, it's a stretch. There's nothing for it in any other sport.
Who wins?
He's
I
been,
mean, Rory can't.
he's-
After winning the Scottish Open, I don't think
No,
he's
I don't.
even
Even though he's
close.
playing lights
So
out.
he's been in 19 events this year. He's been top 25 in 18 and 19, made all 19 cuts. He has 2 wins, a second place finish, and he's been a top 10 in 15 of 19 tournaments this year, and he is last on the tour in putting. Like that is
Does he have a win?
I don't even know how to do it. He has 2 wins. He's okay. Off the tee, he's first. Approach to green first.
In
Tee
distance
to
or
green
accuracy?
first.
This is all
This is just
accuracy?
in strokes gained.
Oh, strokes gained off the tee. Okay.
First and off the tee, first in approach to green, first in tee to green, first in total, and then he is last in putting.
Isn't that something?
He's third in total driving, 19th in distance, 39th in accuracy, first in greens and rate. He hits 75% of greens. He is proximity 19th, approach inside 200 yards, greater than 200 yards, 75th. Scrambling, he's 5th. He's bad out of sand. Scrambling from the rough, he's 6th. Putting average, he's just not. His one putt percentage is 174th, which is last.
Yeah.
But his scoring average is first. His birdie average is third. I mean, it's just nuts. It's just nuts.
So who do you like?
Here's one for you.
I mean, ball strikers win typically over there.
If I gave you live or PGA guys, who do you want?
Live.
So you're getting Koepka, DJ, Cam Smith.
Yeah. Defending champ?
Yep.
Yeah.
Those would be your big. Who am I missing from a horses on the live? Who would be somebody who would be in the mix?
Did you say
Phil?
the reigning champion?
I said
You
Cam Smith.
Yep,
I said Brooks. I said
Yep.
DJ. Would be the 3 that would
pretty
be.
good. Then you have Rory, Scheffler.
Rory, Scheffler, Fowler's played great for all summer.
It's awesome.
I'd love to see Fowler in the mix on Sunday morning.
So you like the live guys beating the PGA guy,
I
live
do.
golfer beating or versus
Probably.
the PGA guy?
Yeah.
Because aren't most of the European guys are on live?
Yeah.
It's a good question, though. I mean, so we had a.
You're
live
getting Rory, Scheffler, Spieth. Justin Thomas hasn't played well all summer.
No,
He's really struggled. Ricky's played great.
Spieth has been fine.
You got Rahm.
Johnny Rahm. I like the. I
You're
like
getting
the
Rahm
tour
with
guys.
the tour guys. I think
Yeah.
I'm going tour guys.
Tour guys.
Okay.
I'll roll tour guys on
Yeah,
that.
me too.
All right.
It's like 5 guys that I could see winning it,
Yeah.
and there's probably from the live there's probably 3, but there's people I'm not remembering either.
Here, do you want to? Here, let me pull up real quick.
Let's do it. So much more to come.
Oh man, we're
No,
already there.
Yeah, we're there. So much more to come, including a list of true contenders. Cleveland Browns Daily 850 ESPN Cleveland. Here are the best. Here are the favorites. Rory, Scheffler, Rahm are the first three favorites. They're all PGA. Yep. Koepka, Cam, Cantlay, is he PGA?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Looking.
Hovland, do you know about Hovland? Is he PGA or is he live?
He feels like Live to me.
Morikawa's PGA. Fowler's PGA. Fleetwood feels like live. Hatton feels like, I don't know. Schauffele's PGA.
Xander? I
Yeah.
believe
1
so.
minute.
Dustin Johnson live. I mean, they're all going to be the same.
Yeah.
Spieth is PGA is the right way to go.
Yeah, Finau.
Yeah, unless you love like Koepka or Cam Smith more than you love Rahm, Scheffler.
Hovland's
McIlroy.
on the PGA Tour.
All right, so PGA is definitely the correct choice.
Yes.
because like 8 of the top 10
Or
are
PGA.
guys to go. So
It's going to be fun. I love the Open.
I do too.
my
Last two
favorite.
guys to win here were Tiger
30,
and Rory,
30.
so it's heavy hitters
Yeah.
that win here at this place. So this will be a lot of fun. Enjoy your first Friday, kids. Act accordingly. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner. Your Cleveland Browns coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You've been listening.